Hello, hello, hello again. It's the Midnight Skeptic coming at you. I'm a little late with this recording. It's Saturday. It's about 2:45. This is way later than I usually do it, but in my defense, I wanted to watch the debate, so called debate, between Joe Biden and the orange sociopathic bloat bag Thursday night, and I was intending to record this on Friday. The debate was Thursday night, and I don't know, things got in the way, and but here I am. Okay, this recording will go out on YouTube right after I get done with this weekly rant, and it will go out worldwide on www.kpca.fm, and locally it'll go out 103.3 FM for most of Sonoma County. Both of those on Sunday, June 30th. And at the usual time, 9 p.m. Okay, let's kind of get to it. Well, here we go again down the Midnight Skeptic's own personal rabbit hole where ranting has become an art form. As always, my goal, my raison d'etre, is to rid this country of all Republicans, GOP MAGA heads, and followers, actually worshipers, of the orange sociopathic bloat bag, in my own small way via this broadcast that I'm doing right now. I hope to achieve this goal. It's going to be tough, but in my own small way, I hope that I'm successful. We just cannot, we meaning responsible citizens in this country, just can't allow this truly awful, horrible person to become president once again. The so-called debate on Thursday night on CNN did not go well for President Biden, and I'll speak more on that a little bit later. The next one, the next debate, has to have fact checking in some way, shape, or form, because the orange sociopathic bloat bag is just a liar. There's no other word for him. He says things that are untrue or exaggerations or hyperbole, if he even knows what that word means. And he has followers. I can't believe it, but they're there. I call them MAGA heads. Okay, but anyway, for the next debate in September, we do need some way to fact check him. Okay. Shout outs. Boy, my throat is crackling. I hope that helps. That's a sip of milk. 22%. Okay, shout outs. Check out Project Censored's website. Sign up for their newsletter and order their Censored Press published. Censored Press is their publishing imprint. The State of the Free Press 2024. And Project Censored is run by Mickey Huff, Andy Lee Roth, and Nolan Higdon. All of them are history professors, I believe, at different colleges. Mickey Huff, right across the bay in, I'm having a brain freeze on the name of the college. Diablo Valley College. Okay. I'm not sure how many classes he teaches over there, but however many, that is where he teaches. Okay, John Crowley at, excuse me, at Aquas Cafe, and at the Foundry Wharf here in Petaluma, which is at 2nd and H Streets. God, excuse me, my my vocal cords are not obeying my brain signals. Okay. And check out their menu. They have a breakfast, lunch, and an early dinner, a light fare. And but their food is really good. I've eaten there a number of times. Okay, and the Phoenix Theater. Go to their website and check out their musical schedule. Their musical groups, mostly on the weekends, run toward grunge and metal, if you're into that. And Tom Gaffey is the manager of the Phoenix Theater, and he's sort of the godfather slash kindly uncle to teens that one would consider alternative teens. They have skateboard ramps set up inside the Phoenix Theater. And, okay, Nariman, the owner of Zandex, or one of the founders of Zandex. I think Nariman is retired now, and he's on a vacation. Maybe he's back now, but he was on a European vacation. Well deserved. Okay, Art Kuznets, who I met at B'nai Israel Temple. My late wife, who passed away in 2013, was Jewish, and we would go to events down at B'nai Israel. And also retired now, Rabbi Ted, who was rabbi at B'nai Israel for a long time here in Petaluma. And Ralph Scott, who was, before the COVID shutdown, sort of the godfather of the Petaluma radio players. And he may or may not be trying to get it going again. Tim Conrad, an excellent photographer. And this Sunday, when these broadcasts will be going out, don't forget that it is Pride Parade Sunday down in San Francisco. And I think the parade itself starts at 1:30 by Dykes on Bikes, as they always do. And the rest of the parade will proceed apace. Okay. Wow. This is a rough broadcast. Okay. Whew. Okay. Tom and Nancy Throw locally here in Petaluma. Kevin and Lori up in Cotati. Good luck with your Mohs surgery on Tuesday, Kevin. Dave and Rosita Takach in Sacramento. Rich and Kathy Berger in Sebastopol. Dennis and Megan in Tiburon. Yvonne and Rick in San Francisco. Stan and Kathy in Pacifica, Aunt Jackie and Samantha in LA, and her other daughter, Melanie, who is living in Austin, Texas now and loves it. My brother Brandon and Mina in Arizona. The animal control officer in Patagonia, Karina Hilliard. I haven't heard from you in 4 or 5 years now. I don't know if you're still the animal control officer, but whatever you're doing, I wish you good health and wellness. Shannon Reed in Arkansas, and in Florida, Nelson and Alice Lydell, Amelia Beamer in Florida as well. Check out her at YouTube. She represents Locus, Locus magazine. If you're a fan of science fiction, horror, or fantasy, any of those 3 genres, Locus magazine reviews the upcoming books. And she will tell you on YouTube which books they are reviewing for the current month. Dr. Dave in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, retired as the world's greatest pulmonary physician. I think he's in Chicago now, presenting his artwork. Check him out at davidrubinpainting.com. And his paintings will show up. He has a very unique take on reality, as we all should. Okay, back on the West Coast. In Sonora, Robert Finnegan. Thanks for putting me up in your spare bedroom last weekend. Robert and Sandy Fisher and their 2 kids, Martha and Brad. Darrell Larson, Judy May, Lynn Quayle, Kathy Francis, and up the highway a ways in Twain Harte, John Gleason, and his 2 daughters, Tiffany and Jennifer. And all the way down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. All right. I'm not as old as my voice sounds. Geez, I sound terrible. But onward. Okay. Good news. More than 340,000 people in Mexico identify as non-binary. The greatest percentage by any age group down there is 15 to 24. That's the age. And 67%. That can't be right. I think I screwed up on transcribing data. Anyway, there's a great number, to wit, 340,000 people in Mexico identify as non-binary or transgender or other non-cisgender identities. Okay. And, Sharon Lerner, who is was a 3M chemist. She discovered that, she wrote the article in the New Yorker and ProPublica. I think she's a writer for ProPublica. That's Sharon Lerner. She wrote an article about how 3M, the chemical company, and Product Manufacturing Company, ignored and suppressed her findings that the forever chemicals, PFOS, PFAS, are found in all of our bloodstreams, both workers at 3M and the general population in general. Even some people living in China had their blood analyzed, and PFOS and PFAS were found as contaminants in their blood. Okay, Robert Bilott, Bilott, a Cincinnati environmental attorney, said, quote, PFAS are the most toxic, persistent, and bioaccumulative chemicals ever found anywhere. Okay, good news, I suppose. Julian Assange has agreed to plead guilty to illegally obtaining and disseminating national security material in exchange for release from a British prison. He will most likely be sentenced to the 5 years he has already served in a British prison. In the 2016 campaign, thousands of Democratic emails were stolen by Russian agents and then given to him, and an agreement between Assange and Roger Stone to release them at the most opportune time to influence the 2016 election. I have no way of knowing, nobody does, about how those release of emails, better known as Hillary's emails, influence the election. How many people changed their voting minds because of it? We'll never know. But in any event, the orange sociopathic bloat bag won that election. Okay, and Roger Stone was convicted of, I forget exactly what crime, but he was pardoned by the orange sociopathic bloat bag, and he should be put away somewhere. Okay. Bad, ridiculous news. House Republicans, aka the MAGA heads, or orange sociopathic bloat bag cultists, have, via the rules of decorum in the House of Representatives, have forbidden any mention that the orange sociopathic bloat bag is a convicted felon or sexual abuser during official House business. A reporter for the New York Times, Luke Broadwater, says that Jim McGovern, who is a Democratic House member from Massachusetts, his official statements should be stricken from the House official comments because he mentioned that the orange sociopathic bloat bag was a convicted criminal, which he is. Okay. More on the Mideast Gaza conflict. Jordan, which was called Transjordan during the British Mandate, took the West Bank in the Arab-Israeli War in 1948. They annexed it and gave the people living there, who were not yet calling themselves Palestinians, Jordanian citizenship, which most of them gladly accepted. They did not set up a Palestinian state at that time. The PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, founded in 1964, did not claim the West Bank as Palestinian land in their original founding charter. It was only after Israel won the Six-Day War and took the West Bank from Jordan that the PLO amended their charter to claim that the West Bank was Palestinian land and has always been, which is not true. I don't want to sound like I'm too pro-Palestinian or too anti-Israel, but I rant about things factually. And my suggestion, as I've said in previous shows, that the best thing would be a three-state solution. Israel, the West Bank would be Palestine, and Gaza would be Gaza. And all of the other Arab countries, rich as they are, could gather together and reconstruct Gaza and help them set up themselves as a country, hopefully not ruled by Hamas. Okay, I'm off my notes. In its original charter, the PLO called specifically for the destruction of the State of Israel. After the 1948 Israeli-Arab War, Jordan occupied the West Bank and Egypt occupied Gaza. The Fatah-Hamas conflict, now those are two political organizations, Fatah and Hamas. Hamas has or I guess they used to have a military wing. It's sort of been decimated and is being decimated as we speak by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. Okay, but there was a short, civil war between these two Palestinian organizations, Fatah and Hamas. Hamas succeeded in driving Fatah out of Gaza and began to exercise de facto rule over Gaza. Okay, Jordan occupied West Bank, Egypt occupied Gaza. The Fatah-Hamas conflict is an ongoing political struggle over control of lands they both call Palestine. Since the death of Yasser Arafat, who for a long time was head of PLO, since the death of Yasser Arafat in November of 2004 and Hamas's victory in Gaza, there has been no resolution to this conflict. Bad news for Israel. Matzah, capital M-O-T-Z-A, which is a 9,000-year-old archaeological discovery, a recent discovery. It's near West Jerusalem. It predates most of the events of the Bible and Jewish history. The best of the best Israeli archaeologists will not admit that, I'm sorry, will now admit that the Exodus did not happen and that Moses, the great lawgiver, was a composite of mythical stories. All right? And it affects Christian fundamentalist teaching as well. Okay? The Bible and the Torah, the Mishnah, none of those things are the Word of God. They are just myths, including the Israeli exodus from Egypt. It just did not really happen. The parting of the Red Sea and all of that BS, it just did not happen. But fundamentalist Christians and evangelicals continue to insist that the Bible is the inerrant Word of God. Okay. Bad news. Oklahoma State Schools Superintendent Ryan Walters now is requiring public schools to teach the Bible. He claims that the Bible is a quote unquote necessary historical document, an appropriate study of history and civilization. It's not history. He is a former history teacher himself. I didn't look up where he went to college to get his, BA degree or MA degree, whatever he has. It's probably some Bible college that he went to, but whoever gave him his history degree and or teaching credentials should be ashamed of themselves. Ryan Walters, just resign your position. Okay. Good news born out of bad news. An organization of drag performers and committee. Now, I'll have to spell this for you. Capital Q OMMITTEE is an organization of drag performers, and they seek to combat right-wing Republican GOP MAGA-head hate. It was formed in District of Columbia in June of 2023. It is a liaison between them, drag performers, and law enforcement. Okay, they seek protection from law enforcement officials because armed militant groups continually threaten their performances and readings for children, book readings for children. You can see these armed hooligans parading in front of libraries and coffee houses and restaurants, anywhere where the drag performers have been invited to perform. And they will eventually provide legal aid. I assume they're collecting money from many sources to fund the legal aid that drag performers occasionally need. Okay. Bad news. Texas abortion ban is linked to an increase in infant deaths. Also, there is an increase in the number of babies born with congenital anomalies. The number rose by 23% following the implementation of the ban on September 1st, 2021. This is in Texas. The infant death increase rose about 13%, and the congenital increase occurred only in Texas. For the rest of the U.S., infant mortality only rose by less than 2%, and congenital anomalies deaths rose only 3%. Are you happy, Texas? The Texas Heartbeat Act, which is better known as Senate Bill 8 in Texas, is a ban on abortion after a fetal heartbeat can be detected, which is usually as early as 5 weeks or maybe 6 weeks into a woman's pregnancy. Women don't even know they're pregnant at 5 weeks. Do Republicans care about increasing infant deaths? No. Do they care that teen pregnancy rates rose for the first time in 15 years? No. GOP-led states that enforced strict abortion bans between 1974 and 2016 saw an increase in suicide rates of women of reproductive age, which they consider ages 20 through 34 years. Do MAGA-head pro-lifers or the orange sociopathic bloat bag cultists, do they care? No, they are growing more and more evil as time goes on. We cannot allow the orange sociopathic bloat bag and any of his associates to get near the White House again. This November, vote out all Republicans. And I'm going to call the Republican Party evil. They didn't used to be this way. And I've said before that I am still, after all these years, a registered Republican from when I first registered to vote. And I'm not mincing my words. They are evil, since they are followers of Christian nationalists who themselves I am calling evil. Okay. Whew. Good news. Canyon County, Idaho, got its first Pride celebration. Ooh, all right. Tom Wheeler organized it. He is a real estate agent, age 27, and lives in Boise, Idaho, and he's gay. The celebration was held in a Nampa, N-A-M-P-A, Idaho park, and he expected about 50 people that would attend, and he might raise $1,000 or so in donations for gewgaws and banners and flags and such, enough to buy rainbow t-shirts and streamers. There were threats, of course, this is Idaho, there were threats from right-wing Idaho Liberty Dogs, the well-armed militias keeping Idaho safe from the gays. Tom Wheeler, had discussions with local police and sheriffs and had a private security firm provide a handful of security people. Okay. To his surprise, more than 2,000 people ended up coming in to the event area in the park, which was kind of fenced off. A drag show ended the celebration. Canyon County, Idaho Pride was a resounding success. Okay. Bad news for girls. In Missouri, between 2000 and 2018, 8,007 children were married. 230 minors were married between 2019 and 2021. And 75% of them were girls under 18. The problem of child marriage is linked to the power of religious communities over the lives of children. Senate bill in Missouri, Senate Bill 767, would rectify this situation and take effect on August 28th of 2024, this year. The bipartisan bill has run into resistance from Republicans in the Missouri House. I assume that they are Christian fundamentalists and believe that women, even young girls, are the property of their husbands, just like God intended. Let's hope this bill passes. Somewhat good news. The U.S. Surgeon General has declared guns to be a public health crisis. Dr. Vivek Murthy has made some recommendations, one of which is to outlaw assault rifles. Well, good luck with that. That's great, but as long as there are Republicans, that will never happen. They were outlawed for 10 years during the Clinton administration, and mass shootings went way down. And the outlawing of assault rifles was allowed to expire, and the NRA and the gun manufacturers jumped all over it. Mass shootings went down. We do not need private ownership of weapons of war, which assault rifles are. I'm very cynical about there being adequate gun safety legislation. It's just the NRA and the gun manufacturing lobby have gotten a stranglehold on Republican politicians. Real, honest gun safety gun safety legislation just will not happen, I don't believe. I wish it would, but I'm cynical about it ever happening. A book recommendation, which I just got in the mail. It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism by Bernie Sanders. And he's one of my political heroes. I consider myself a democratic socialist, as does he. And I don't think the democratic socialists will ever become a viable party here in this country. The word socialist has been just pounded into the voters' minds as bad news. Well, it's really not. Okay. It was published in 2023, now out in paperback 2024. Crown Trade Paperback Edition. Bernie says, quote, "There is nothing more American than questioning the systems that have failed us and demanding needed changes." All right. Good news. Hawaii has to Hawaii has to decarbonize its transportation system. 13 youths sued the State Department of Transportation there in Hawaii for failing to protect their, quote, constitutional right to a clean and healthful environment. This is a similar lawsuit to the ones in Oregon and in Montana. Earth Justice, which is a law firm that takes on these environmental causes and lawsuits. The case in question is Navahine, Navahine, versus Hawaii Department of Transportation. It announced a settlement on Tuesday, the 18th of this month. And the transportation system in Hawaii, means essentially buses, have to decarbonize their transportation system. And I don't know what the date is where it has to be decarbonized by, but anyway, these kids won the suit. All right. Unfortunate news. 1,301 Hajj pilgrims died in Mecca due to the heat. Saudi authorities failed to adequately provide shade or water to the throngs coming to Mecca and the Kaaba stone, which is an annual duty to the faithful. They have to do it at least once in their lifetimes. 1.8 million pilgrims were granted visas by Saudi Arabia. Unauthorized pilgrims smuggled to Mecca by unscrupulous tour conductors added to the throngs. The Hajj is foundational to Muslim life and is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. There are 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide. The Hajj is held during the 12th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. So relative to the Gregorian calendar, there is a shift of 11 days every year, causing the pilgrimage to cycle through the seasons. This year, it occurs in almost midsummer. Okay, so it's hot there. And the Saudi government was too incompetent to plan for this. Good news. President Biden will pardon thousands of former service members who were involuntarily discharged for violating the Universal Code of Military Justice laws against gay sex. The pardoned service members will have to apply for withheld benefits. Wednesday, June 26th, is when this goes into effect. Despite courage and sacrifice, thousands of LGBTQ service members were forced out of the military because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, Biden said. I'm using my clemency authority to pardon certain former service members who were convicted simply for being themselves. Good news. President Biden is a good man, a compassionate man, as opposed to the orange sociopathic bloat bag. Good news. A group of parents in Louisiana filed a federal lawsuit on Monday, that's June 24th, seeking to block a new state law requiring that the Ten Commandments be posted in every classroom in every public school and college in Louisiana. Lawyers for the ACLU represented the parents, which were two Unitarian families, a Presbyterian family, a Jewish family, an atheist family, and a non-religious family. In other words, none. When they were asked, "What religion are you?" they said, "Nothing in particular." All right. Creepy Christians who push this law want the case to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. And in Louisiana, Dodie Horton, I've spoken about her on a couple of shows ago. She's a Republican, of course. She sponsored the legislation to put the Ten Commandments in every classroom. And I haven't read the law myself, but there are many versions of the Ten Commandments sprinkled throughout the Bible, and every religion has some sort of laws to be obeyed by the faithful. Jewish religion has, I believe, 57 laws. Why aren't they posted? Of course, religious fundamentalists, Christian variety, are just, hypocrites. Okay. Okay, another sip. Bad news. AIPAC, capital AIPAC, donated massive money donations to George Latimer, Jamal Bowman's opponent in a Democratic primary election. AIPAC is the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee that is a right-wing, pro-Israel lobbying group that doesn't tolerate any criticism of Israel or its policies. AIPAC was founded in 1954 by Isaiah Kenen, that's Kenen, who was a lobbyist for the Israeli government. And this is partly to counter international reactions, negative reactions, to the Kibya massacre, Qibya, that was carried out by a special forces unit of the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, which was itself a response to a Palestinian Fedayeen attack on Yehud, which was an Israeli village 10 kilometers inside the Green Line. Now, the Green Line was a line drawn on a map separating the West Bank from Israel proper. Ever since, well, the 1948 war between Israel and the Arab League or Arab nations, there's been cross-border raids and massacres, tit for tat. It just goes on and on. And finally, the Israeli government hired this guy, Isaiah Kennan, to be a lobbyist for the Israeli government because worldwide condemnation where the IDF special unit crossed the border into the West Bank and massacred 90 some odd Qibya, Qibya, citizens, villagers. About 2/3 of them were women and children, and it didn't sit well with the international community. All right. Fact: most of the MAGA-head base like the Affordable Care Act, but not if it's referred to as Obamacare. They're racist. There's no getting around it. Most of the worshippers of the orange sociopathic bloat bag are racists. The Midnight Skeptic is saying this for the world to hear. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act of 2010 is the law. It was during the Obama administration where it was difficult to get passed, but it finally did with the help of Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic senators. The number of Americans without health insurance decreased from 18% in 2013 to 13% in 2014. That's good news. More people have health insurance. 60% of Americans get their information about the Affordable Care Act from negative GOP ads and Fox News. Republican politicians keep vowing to repeal the ACA, despite the fact that most people who have it like it. They are hateful, cruel, mean political party. There's no way around it. Okay, bad debate news on Thursday, 2 days ago, 2 evenings ago, on CNN. Okay. Joe Biden did not do well at Thursday night's so-called debate. He stumbled over words and at times looked elderly. The orange sociopathic bloat bag, as usual, lied about almost everything. Foreign governments are not laughing at us. Inflation is below all other G7 countries. Our economy is quite robust. But you'd never know it listening to the orange sociopathic bloat bag. And I'm not going to go into all of the orange sociopathic bloat bag's lies, exaggerations, and hyperbole. It's not worth it. His followers don't care that he lies. the undecided voters might be swayed by his appearance as more with it than Joe Biden. And by with it, I mean talking coherently, even though what he said were lies. Okay. Whew. Bad news. How much time do I have left? Oh, I gotta go. Florida was one of 13 states to opt out of a federal program that would subsidize groceries for low-income children. All 13 have GOP governors. The Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program for Children would provide extra meals for more than 30 million school kids, but more than 10 million will opt out because of this GOP recalcitrance. Brief, bad, idiotic news. The orange sociopathic bloat bag is attacking the Pentagon for its plans to use fuels from renewable sources. He attacked electric tanks. There is no such thing. They aren't making electric tanks. He rails against EVs, electric vehicles, and clean energy, purely as a sop to the fossil fuel industry. Okay, good news to end the show. A Department of Labor rule as of Friday, 6/28, yesterday, allows H-2A seasonal agricultural workers to organize for better wages and conditions. Employers cannot hinder or intimidate workers or refuse entry to legal help for them. Okay, 58 minutes exactly. Here's my out music. I forgot to play the in music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. 58 minutes exactly. All right, I will see you guys all next week. Have a happy 4th of July. Bye-bye.